So when you talk about being paid what you're worth, what does that really mean to you? I mean, how
Well,
do you have your clients?
worth is an acronym for me. So I'll
Yeah.
tell you what that is and then I'll talk more about it. But worth to me means who are your people? Like get absolutely crystal clear about who your people are. Because if you don't know who your people are, then you really don't know how to price to that to what they need. Like what's the
Or the
value of the
value.
transformation, the value of what they really need, where they are in their life, all those kinds of things. So getting super clear about the who. And then getting clear about your offers, and your offers of course need to be things that your target audience not only need but want, because you can have all kinds of programs that you are sure that they should want, but if they don't see it themselves, they don't recognize it, then they aren't going to buy. And so learning their language, learning how to say it in a way that they say, "Oh, I see myself in those services, in that need." And then getting results and documenting it. Too many of us don't collect our results on the regular basis. We just sort of hope people will give us testimonials. We don't ask for them.
One of
And
the
asking
things
for a testimonial every single time you finish with a client is really critical.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Today's conversation is for every woman who has ever felt the quiet tension between what she knows she brings to the table and what she actually gets paid. My guest is Markey Read. Markey has spent more than 25 years working alongside women entrepreneurs, watching them build meaningful businesses while often underestimating the value of their own wisdom. Her work sits at the intersection of pricing and leadership and self-trust, and it is deeply rooted in real-world experience, not theory. In this conversation, we talk about what it really means to be paid what you are worth, why so many women hesitate to claim their value, and how pricing decisions ripple far beyond our bank accounts into our confidence, our families, and our communities. We also explore the difference between value and price, accumulated wisdom, and about how getting clearer about who you are truly here to serve can change everything. This is a rich, honest conversation about worth, courage, and choosing to take your seat at the table fully and unapologetically. Please help me in welcoming Markey Read. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Markey. I'm so thrilled to have you here today.
Thanks so much, Cami. I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, you and I have had some good opportunities to chat this year and talk about the good work that you're doing around helping women, charge what they're worth, and something near and dear to my heart. And I like you agree. There's too many women who undercharge for their services, so I'm excited to have this conversation with you and bring your wisdom to my community.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you landed in the world of working with women on their worth and their pricing and their packaging, and what was your journey that took you into that space?
A great question. So because I've been in business a long time and I started when I was very young and I had never made a lot of money, I really
Hmm.
had no idea about how to price. I just, like many women, things were natural to me. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can pay me whatever. And I never really put a lot of thought into it. And mostly my thought went into what I thought I could get away with or what I think what could keep it affordable.
What
And
you
I
could get away with, right?
yeah, yeah.
What-
And I realized that those kinds of beliefs were really holding me back. And
yeah.
the more I talked to other consultants and learned more about what they were doing and just educated myself. I mean, I've been in business for 35 years, so I've had a lot of
Yeah.
chances to talk to a lot of people. I
Right.
saw that there were so many models. There were so many models for pricing. And I thought, I'm going to get serious about my own pricing. And then once I understood more about that, I thought, I need to be teaching this to other people because it changed the way I saw myself it changed the way I value my wisdom and expertise, but it also had me see that I could get by in my business or I could actually have a thriving business. And that's a real
Yeah.
distinction. A lot of us who start from passion have businesses that are really kind of hobbies that we make a little money at instead of
Hmm.
actually making a living at our businesses.
Yeah, I so agree. And I recall that same shift for myself where I was undercharging, and I was like, oh, can I really charge this amount? Right.
Yeah.
And it's like that hesitation that comes with it. It's like, it's real. I mean, it's definitely real that happens. And when I shifted that to actually owning what, the value that I could deliver to my clients, it changed everything in my business. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
and I think that's, and, luckily we've had good teachers over the years that taught us lots of models to look at and all the different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did you start noticing, or what did you start noticing about how women entrepreneurs value themselves in their business? I think as you stepped into this field and started working with women in their value, what are some of the things that you saw and noticed?
So I saw things like, women who were, had been in their field for 10, 15, 20 years and then started doing a business related to their field, just sort of discounting all of their experience in their field as saying, I've
Hmm.
only been in business for a couple of years. But like, well, you had 10 or 15 or 20 years in your field.
Right.
Don't just toss that out. Yeah, being in business for yourself is a little different, but you still bring all that experience and wisdom in. And sort of like I call it the traffic, people that have come through that you've worked with in that area, those all still, you still have that. You still own that space. Some other things that I saw were women who'd started part time at first. Maybe they were
Mhm.
working a full time or part time job and they started their business part time. Also discounting, like, I've only been in business for a couple of years full time. I started, it's like, well, no, you've been in business all of those years. You were in business, you were learning. I see how often women want to qualify and discount what they bring so that they aren't really owning the space. And it's interesting because I've coached a lot of men in the consulting and coaching space also, and men don't have that kind
That
of
was going to be my
distinction.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just don't. And
Oh,
when I talk
interesting.
about pricing, they go, "Oh, got it," and they just go on. And
Yeah.
women will debate with me and hem and haw, and it's not because I think that, women are more generous necessarily. I just think that we're not conditioned to really own our expertise and really
Yeah.
stand strong and tall in that. I had a coach that used to say, "Stand tall in your prices." And I remember I didn't understand it when I first started working with her. And now I really do. Like, just
Yeah.
stand tall
It's
in
like
your
owning it.
prices and own the
Yeah.
space. Because
Yeah.
when you do, people go, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay."
It's interesting. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to coach a male CEO or chairman of a board of a company. And, I generally work with women entrepreneurs, but this opportunity came to me very organically. And I was like, this is a great opportunity. And I remember questioning, like, how do I price this? Right. I mean, this was the question I had. It's like, okay, how do I price this? And I luckily reached out to a male friend of mine who coached CEOs, and he is like, don't charge under this amount because it's going to devalue what you bring to this
Yeah.
chairman. And and I remember and it was a big number, and I was like, oh my gosh, can I actually say? And I, I as coaching women entrepreneurs, I don't have a small number. It's, I charge well for my the work that I do with my clients, but this was a really big number, and I was like, oh my gosh, can I actually do this? And I remember saying it, and then he was like, okay, that sounds fine.
Yeah, I
And
think that's a really interesting distinction that a lot of us don't understand, that when you undercharge, and especially if you significantly undercharge, people don't take you seriously.
exactly,
Women want to be part of the conversation. They want to take a chair at the table. They want all of those kinds of things to be part of what's happening. But then they undervalue themselves because they just simply don't say, "This is my price," and not even having to justify it. The
yeah.
number of times that men asked me, "Was I charging enough?" And a woman never asked me that. But I would have
Mm,
male clients who would say, "Marky, are you charging enough?" Because they would realize what I was bringing them was just pure gold.
yeah.
And I would be like, that's a good question. I think it's time to raise my prices.
Yeah, it's good to get those touch points that help us stop and think and go, oh, maybe there's a shift that's happening here. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. So when you talk about being paid what you're worth, what does that really mean to you? I mean, how
Well,
do you have your clients?
worth is an acronym for me. So I'll
Yeah,
tell you what that is and then I'll talk more about it. But worth to me means who are your people? Like get absolutely crystal clear about who your people are. Because if you don't know who your people are, then you really don't know how to price to what they need. Like what's the
or the
value of the
value.
transformation, the value of the transformation, the value of
Mhm.
what they really need, where they are in their life, all those kinds of things. So getting super clear about the who. And then getting clear about your offers, and your offers, of course, need to be things that your target audience not only need but want.
Yeah,
Because you can have all kinds of programs that you are sure that they should want, but
yeah.
if they don't see it themselves, they don't recognize it, then they aren't going to buy. And so learning their language, learning how to say it in a way that they say, oh, I see myself in those services, in that need. And then getting results and documenting it. Too many of us
Mm.
don't collect our results on a regular basis. We just sort of hope people will give us testimonials. We don't ask for them.
One of
And
the
asking
things
for a testimonial every single time you finish with a client is really critical. Go ahead.
totally, and one of the things I've learned even in the last couple of years is to get specifics in the testimonials, because so often people can be kind of high level, and it's our clients don't always know how to capture the real results, and so helping them get to what those results were and actually do the math with them has been really a big shift that I've made in the last few
Yeah.
years, and where I can actually see, oh my gosh, that's pretty amazing. Look what you did from a dollar perspective or a percentage growth perspective, or whatever the measurement is that you're looking at. But I often find that my clients don't always know to actually, go.
Yeah.
If I'm asking for a testimonial, they don't always know to go into the depth that I'd like them to go to.
Right. Can I tell you my little secret of how I get good
Totally.
testimonials?
Oh yeah,
So I
totally.
actually, because most of the time I'm meeting with people online, so we're already on video.
Hmm.
I ask them at the end of our last session, I say, would you mind if I start recording? And I ask you a few questions to create a testimonial. So I
Hmm.
interview them. So
Oh, that's
similar to you,
perfect.
I help them answer questions that I think are actually relevant. And then I take the transcript from that and I use some AI to create a testimonial and I say, does this represent, and they're always so thrilled. People are thrilled that I not only record it, but I summarize it, because most of us, part of the reason people go high level is they're nervous. They don't know what to say. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
Cammie's great. Oh yeah, Marky's fabulous. Like they don't really understand how to go into the depth. So I
yeah,
interview them. I ask several questions, and that also helps them kind of reflect more. Like what
yeah.
was really. Oh right. Oh yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, we did that too. And it's made it more fun for me because I hear what
Hmm.
they're saying, and then I can really create a testimonial that works in terms of how I want to be promoting my services and how I want to be talking
Mm,
about what I do.
that's brilliant. I
Yeah.
love it.
So those results are really important, and recording those. And then the T is for pricing techniques, understanding what pricing techniques are. We talked about all the different models out there. A
Hmm.
lot of us don't really understand how to use things like bonuses and specials and limited offers, and there's all kinds of there's so many pieces to pricing that when you
Hmm.
understand it, you go, oh, that's why people do all that. Oh,
Yeah,
because it works.
yeah.
Amazing, it works. And then the last one is to be able to harness your sales skills, because when you know who your people are, you have good offers, you're getting good results, and you understand your pricing techniques. Sales is just a conversation. As my friend Jennifer Darling says, sales is a conversation that helps people solve a problem that they couldn't solve on their own.
Mm,
You
that's
know?
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a way to, so that's what worth means for me in my acronym. But really getting paid what your worth means is understanding fundamentally that what you bring is different and unique from everybody else. Your perspective, you have a different life experience than I do. You and I can probably help clients get similar results, but we do it in different ways.
Right.
Right. It's because we have
Right.
different
Yeah.
backgrounds and
Totally.
techniques.
Hmm.
And so understanding that, and not discounting.
Yeah.
And getting really clear about what your goals are for your business so that you're growing your business and structuring your offers and your pricing in such a way that you can actually grow your business in the way you want to, that you can really
Yeah.
achieve those big goals and get out of that sort of semi-unemployed state that too many women entrepreneurs are in.
Here, here. I like
Yeah.
that so much. So how do you tell us a little bit more about how you help women develop their pricing strategy?
So I there's a first it's the mindset.
Hmm.
You got to get the
It
cobwebs
is.
out. Yeah.
I totally
So it's
believe that.
understanding, really owning. So I use what I call there's cost of services sold, which is what does it actually cost you in terms of
Hmm.
time and resources to deliver your services. And too many
Hmm.
of us don't know that. And
Right.
then I have what I created was the value of services sold, and value of services sold has two pieces to it. One is the value of the transformation,
Hmm.
really understanding what that is, and
Hmm.
knowing what people would pay after they've completed your programs, what they would pay, knowing what they know now, then, as opposed to when they started. That helps you understand the value of the transformation. And then the second piece is understanding and appreciating your wisdom and experience. So really being able to I have some sort of calculations that I help people say, like if you added up all this and add this and this and this, like how much could you raise your prices just based on that? And
Yeah.
then we get into more of the technical things of understanding the pricing techniques and the how do you put together programs and price them in such a way that you're clear that it's an introductory marketing service, or it's a kind of an intermediate mid-level, or it's a high level. All the way you structure all of those offers gets you right into how do you price it, how do you put together all those techniques.
I like that. And I like how you bring it from all multiple angles,
Mm.
because you're starting to bring all these different pieces together, and from that is really some really strong clarity. That's not just a number pie in the sky kind of thing, but there's actually thoughtful thinking through to get to that space.
Yeah, so many, you'd be amazed how many people literally pull prices out of the sky.
Yeah.
Or they Google them, or they ask their AI tool, and I had a client a couple of years ago tell me she Googled, she was a graphic designer. I said, well, does Google know what your experience is or what kind of results you produce or anything about you? She said, no, but I just wanted to get kind of an industry standard. I said, well, industry
Yeah.
standard doesn't really apply, particularly in a global marketplace, because, who's to say
Yeah.
what's the standard?
Yeah, I like that so much, because you think about, if you're thinking there's an industry standard out there, and it's like you're not standard.
Yeah.
You've got all the things that have brought you to this point. You've got results. You've got it's not, no one is going to be
Yeah.
standard.
But so much of it is your mindset and your emotional set.
Hmm.
If you can get those two working together, the technical stuff is actually really easy. All the other
Yeah.
stuff that I talk, that's really, it's math, but it's like super simple math. But
Yeah.
what's in the way is what's up here and what's in here, and that we don't believe that we can do that or that we're worth it.
How do you work with women to start to shift that?
A lot of it is showing them the numbers. Like, okay, let's add up. How many years of experience do you have?
Mm,
How old are you? And what would your clients say, after finishing programs with you? What do you think? And you don't know, let's go find out. Let's go talk to some of your former clients,
yeah.
because your clients will almost always say that once they've completed, they're like, oh my gosh, I would have paid double. I would have
Yeah.
paid triple. And
Yeah.
that, if somebody's paying, says I'll pay triple, you've undercharged. Like,
You
really
definitely know
undercharged.
that.
I mean, somebody who says double, like, okay, maybe there's probably room for you to grow, but that's because and and it's being able to tell the story of the value before you talk about numbers. If
Yeah.
you don't know how to tell that story before you get into the actual pricing, people look right at the price and then they say, oh, I can't afford, or I don't want to, or you're not worth it, or it can't possibly be that good. I have all those stories in their head.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You talk about two factors that influence value. Can you share what those are and why they matter so much?
well, I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, is that power of the value of the transformation and the
Hmm.
value of your experience. And
Hmm.
those two pieces for me overrule market forces, dips in the economy, all of those kinds of things. Because, and that's the other thing that people often say, well, I shouldn't charge that much because I know people are, hurting, or people, well,
Mm,
those people probably aren't your clients. The people that are
yeah.
hurting are, I don't mean to be mean, like, I don't mean that at all, but they're probably not your clients.
Yeah. It's
They're so,
interesting. Last year I kept hearing a lot of, well, the market is different, so I need to charge less. And
yeah,
I really worked with my clients on, wait a minute, your value is still the same here.
yeah,
What were some of the I'm guessing you probably heard some of that last year as well.
yeah.
And if so, like what were some of the things that you did to work with those clients?
Well, one of the things that I did for my own services too is I looked at some of my larger offers and thought maybe I can break them up into smaller pieces so that
Mhm.
overall someone will pay the same or even possibly more if it's broken into smaller pieces. But instead of selling one big package, I
Mhm.
could have an introductory piece and then have a larger package after that.
Okay.
And so I worked with some clients on how to rearrange some of the things they did. I also looked with my clients at how do you create some lower cost items that could get people kind of into your system, right?
Right. To build that know,
Because
love, and trust.
once somebody has spent $10 with you, they're going to spend more.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. So it's just breaking that barrier of the first purchase.
Yeah.
And so looking for ways that you can break up some bits of what you have and offer smaller pieces that don't require you to give away the entire farm in the process.
Nice. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good wisdom on that. So I know you talk a lot about focusing on the right client. And that the who part of your worth. Let's talk a little bit more about that, and why that's so important in getting into the heart of your pricing and your packaging.
Yeah. So when you don't know who you're selling to, then you don't have a marketing message, right? You're just
Right.
sort of yelling into the wind. Um, and if you know who your clients are, like I was resistant to say women entrepreneurs for a long time. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll work with entrepreneurs. And
Mhm.
then I said, okay, it's women entrepreneurs. And it took me a while to really be super public about that.
Isn't that funny?
And
I had this
yeah,
similar things along the way. It was a different angle of it, but yes, I
yeah.
totally get
And
that.
of course it hasn't stopped men from wanting to work with me. I still have a lot
Yeah.
of male clients.
Hmm.
And so then I also got really clear about what stage of entrepreneurialism that women
Hmm.
were in. And so all that little niching down, I thought at first I was going to work with women that were in the startup phase. And I realized quickly that they actually I like working with women who are just starting, but they're not my best. I don't do my best work there. I
Hmm.
really do my best work with people who've been in business for a little while. And by a little
Yeah.
while, I mean more than a couple few years, right? They've been
Yeah.
at it for a
Yeah.
bit. They've learned some things and now they're really ready to go deeper. And so when we don't niche, we our message is too broad
Hmm.
and we speak to too many audiences. We try to be too many things to too many people. And then we wonder why people don't know what we do, or somehow it's hard for me to explain what I do. It's because you're saying too much.
Yeah.
If you take more than really seriously, if you need more than 30 seconds to tell people what you do, you have not niched.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes a while to get there, right? Even when you have kind of gotten your focus, it takes a while to get it to like clearer. But when you do rounds of introductions and everybody has 30 seconds and somebody takes 3 or 4 minutes and like we all stop listening 30
Yeah.
minutes 30 seconds in anyway.
Yeah.
And the more you talk, the more you tell me you don't really know who your people are or what your
The
business is.
fuzzier it gets.
Yeah,
Fuzzy, it
yeah,
definitely does. And it's
yeah,
interesting, I think this is, I mean, as our businesses evolve, we go through different stages into the next niche effort. I mean, it's like just went through a next level niche in my business in the last couple months. And, it became very clear to me, okay, I'm taking, this is where I'm going to put my focus. And that's the moment. And I know this. I mean, I've been in business for 17 years. I know that every time I niche down, the door opens up more, right? And I've done it enough
yeah,
times. And again, it was like I focused in on that niche, and the door opened up for, more people coming in my business. And, I had an amazing fourth quarter last year. And it's because I shifted that up.
Yeah.
And, it's like, duh, I know this sort of thing and I teach this sort of thing. But I think it's so important for us to go back as we are in our businesses, and we know there's going to always be the next level niche for us along someplace in the
Right.
future for us.
Right, right. And even, I like for me, it wasn't about any person in business. It was service businesses
Hmm.
because that's also my sweet spot.
Hmm.
I mean, I used to teach, business plan development and concept development and all that. I know how to work with people who do product, but again, it's not my personal experience. I
Right.
have been in the service business almost most of my adult life, and I
Right.
know that, and I've worked with a lot of people in the service business, so I know how to work with that space.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So how do personal strengths and leadership style really show up in business growth? And, as the women you're working with, how does that leadership style of who they are show up in the growth of their business, and just how they build their businesses?
This is one of my great passions. I think that when we don't know our own style, and
Hmm.
so like whatever the styles that I use are based in Jungian personality type.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's a model I created for leadership. And when we don't understand those kind of fundamentals, we often try to mimic other people's success
Hmm.
when it's really not a good fit for us.
Right.
And or we try to we have a lot of shoulds on ourselves. We like, I should be able to do this, when really maybe your brain is not wired in that way. You really need to hire that out.
Yeah.
And so people who keep their businesses very small because they think they ought to be able to do all kinds of things because they know other people are doing those things, or they think other people are doing those things, they don't give themselves permission to own their genius and their superpowers. And when you can do that and you just recognize, I call them superpowers and bozo powers. When you know what your bozo powers are, hire them out. It doesn't mean you won't ever know how to use them. It doesn't mean you shouldn't know how to do it, but that is not a good use of you, right? Like, hire those out. And when you hire those out, all of a sudden, your business doesn't feel like a burden. It feels
Yeah.
like an opportunity to say, I get to do what I love. I get to
Yeah.
plug into the stuff that's really works for me. And now I'm going to go have some really great fun, because what I do best is talk to people and help them and coach them and teach and all the other things. And that while the administrative, the bookkeeping, the accounting, all of that's necessary, not a good use of my time. Just not
Yeah.
a good use of me. And when you
Well,
know what's not a good use of you, it
yeah.
frees you up to make the money to hire that out.
Yeah. And the other piece of that is when you're in those kind of low energy things that's not good use of your time, it's pulling your energy down. And
Yeah.
how you show up in conversation with people that's gonna get reflected in that, versus if you're in this high vibe, oh, I'm doing the things that I love every single day, people are gonna feel that and they're gonna be drawn to you.
Yeah, yeah. And when we are spending our nights and weekends doing all those things that we don't like because we postponed them all week, that even makes it worse, right? Because now we're spending more time working on our business, but not actually doing things that produce income for us or really allow us to shine in the way that
Yeah.
we're meant to.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So good. So if a woman listening is going, oh gosh, I know I'm undercharging, what's the first step you'd encourage her to do?
So I would say, first of all, look at the experience that you have already,
Hmm.
that you have right now, including all whatever you did prior to starting your business,
Yes.
and add it all up, and then add all of your professional development that you've ever done. How much have you
Yeah.
spent? How much have you spent on all your
Yeah.
professional development?
Yeah.
And then look at your age. And if you look at those three things and you can't raise your rates at least by 10%, then you're probably already charging a really good amount, or you are discounting something. So if you really
Yeah.
understand that value of that experience and that wisdom you bring, and I think age is one of those places where we as women are like told to like hide our age or like
Hmm.
pretend like we're not as old as we are and all that crap. But like, there's some real, like, there's juicy stuff the older you get. I mean, I know,
Totally.
you and I have talked about this. Like, there is just really lovely, wonderful, juicy stuff the older we get. And when we can just say, yeah, I've got 30 years of experience in business, it gives a gravitas to what we do
Yeah.
that you can't get any other way, right? You can't Google that. You can't use chat for that. Like nothing, you have to have lived it.
Yeah.
So owning that, that's what I would start with.
I love it. I love it. I'm chuckling because I think you know that I've embraced my silver this year, right?
Yeah.
And there was a place where I was like, oh gosh, do I share what my age is and that sort of thing? And I was like, screw that. I've got years of experience that really I've earned every single one of those silvers on my
Yeah.
head. And that's what I've loved taking that journey, so that personal journey of just really just rediscovering how I really embrace that versus like try to push that down. It's like pushing down a ball in the water, right? It just doesn't work. And it's
Right.
like just once you start to say, you know what, I just own this.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different level of energy that you're showing up in.
Yeah, yeah. And it changes how you stand tall in your prices, right? It
Yeah,
just
totally.
changes that, like, how do I stand tall in my prices? Well, I first of all, I own my experience and my wisdom.
Yeah, love it. So where can people tune into you, learn more about you, follow you, all those sorts of things?
Well, I have a wonderful advantage of having entirely unique name on the planet. So Markey Read with READ, MARKEYREAD is a unique name. And so if I'm
Easy to
on
find.
Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, that's where you'll find me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also find me at my website, which is mrgrp-us.com. That's Markey
Mm-hmm.
Read Group, so mrgrp-us.com. And I would love to hear from folks. I'd love to hear from you. What did you find that was useful today? That something that maybe had you look at who you are and how you're pricing differently, and so that you can start 2026 in a really powerful way.
Yeah, this is a really important conversation to have as we step into 2026 because I would like to see women owning their worth as they step into the new year and just, letting their light shine from that
Yeah,
perspective and
yeah,
standing tall in their value.
yeah.
Definitely. So, the final question I always close with is what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Mm, I would say love yourself enough to really truly charge what you're worth.
Hmm.
I think it's a form of self love when we price appropriately. And really, like, find out who your people are. There are just treasures, gifts in that. When you really own that, um, owning that space will help you clarify things in 2026 in a way that almost nothing else will.
Hmm.
And the last thing that I would say is care for your body. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
care for your body, because if you don't, I don't know about you, but I've learned a few lessons there. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't, you cannot continue to do what you do, and you cannot serve the people that you want to be serving and do the work that you love. So care for your body, so that you can continue to stand tall in your prices.
Yeah, I love it. Marky, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your good wisdom today. It's really a pleasure having this conversation with you. And I love the work that you're doing. And just thank you so much.
Thanks. It was loads of fun.